fucking beyond. There's no words for it.
I like psychedelics, so I love them.
But yeah, RB, if you ever get a chance to do DMT, man, breathe it in until you're not.
Yeah.
That one is that it's death. Like if that's what death is, then that's death. And it's so scary because it's not scary at all. It's like you're a droplet of water being taken back into the ocean, and you become the ocean.
You become the ocean. I don't know. I feel like
it was
you're not
fucking
ready for
intense.
shrooms,
Like
so
looking back at it, if I was just myself that had never done psychedelics and I'd done that much and I tried to fight that, oh my god, you would probably think like, I'm fucking dying! Like my sister and my dad said, I looked out of my fucking mind. I thought I just had my eyes closed the whole time. That's the first time on any psychedelic where I've ever been like gone and I was somewhere else entirely, but I'm like, no dude, I was just sitting in a chair with my eyes closed. Until you were like, no, you were freaking out of your mind.
Yeah.
It was like Lovecraftian. It was like gazing into a well of knowledge so unadulterated and pure that you're like, I'm going mad. This is... And hell, maybe I can handle that because sometimes I think I am mad. Like if I wrote a book and I was completely honest, but I mean, it's also like John Lennon said, where this world is run by insane people for insane reasons. And that entire trip felt like, yeah, what you think this is about is not, and they understand, and you're doing it. They're going to offer it.
Did
you
you
take the
talk
product,
to
take the
entity?
experience.
Did you talk to any entities when you did DMT?
There was millions of entities talking to me. It felt like my ancestors, like everything that had ever, every consciousness that had ever lived, it felt like was communicating with me. And like they just wanted me to stop being so mean to myself.
I always wondered.
And they wanted me to understand that it's fine to die, and that, I mean, it's like Marcus Aurelius says that you shouldn't fear death because death is something nature intends. You should wait for it like any other process. You wait to begin. Like you wait for a child to emerge from the mother's womb, like you wait for nights, or you wait for the sunrise, or you wait for winter or summer. And that's a hard one. That's easier said than done. That's got to be your whole life. That's your whole life is learning to be okay with your death. That's what I think psychedelics really told me. It's just like that trip of D&D was like, don't come back here. Like, go jump out of a plane, go meet a woman, go start a family, go fucking fall into this reality, and then die because you've already done it. Because realistically, there is nothing anymore. Like, I won't waste my time with social media because it is one of the things that has fucking destroyed society. And I'm not going to be on... Oh yeah, well that goes in... Like, if you don't use social media, you're fucking weird. You're considered like you're base... It's like the invasion of the body snatchers and you haven't taken the fucking alien yet and you're like... So I'm now the ostracized one. I'm now weird because I don't have social media. And it's like everybody has social media. So if you decide not to be on it and you're like, well, why would I fucking not want to use this shit but date somebody that does? I'm not going to fucking do that. So there goes like 96% of the fucking dating populace probably as far as women are concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I don't use it either. I just message people because it's like much easier than having a phone number. That's why I don't even remember phone numbers is because like I just message people on like Snapchat and shit. I never use my phone number.
Yeah, man. It's not like I'm like these fucking MGTOW guys, these fucking red pill dudes who are calling everybody simps and blue pilled fucking mangina cucks and all that nonsense. It's like I understand that bad things are happening, that serious things are coming, and yes, it is a terrifying prospect to look at the rest of your days without the things that make men like want to live, the things that make life and art and everything. Like, what good is having all the money and all the fucking toys and all the time, and if you have no one to share it with, if you have nobody? They just want us to be isolated consumers. They want us all to be just like, I mean, right now they have a fucking Pornhub Premium for free because it's like this whole pandemic, and it's like, stay home and practice safe sex. It's like, do you think I want to goddamn fucking be for the last 8 goddamn years without sex, and then now that the rest of the world is like my life and it's isolated? Right, it's fucking insane to think that you'd want to sit there and further become the modern man, become emasculated, become a cuck. It's like, I don't know about you, man, but I don't want to sit there after so long of not having the real thing and having have had it and see another guy just plowing some beautiful fucking petite young chick, and you're just like, oh, this is like suicide fuel at this point. This is like fucking like a goddamn nightmare that you live in, that they're just like, hey buddy, we got free porn, you want to download it because it's all you're ever gonna fucking have. You don't want to settle for a woman that was empowered and had at least 10 or 15 men before you, and if you judge her, you were slut shaming, because men don't have a position anymore in this society, buddy. And if you try to walk away, that's a violent act towards women, pal.
Well, I don't know. I feel like slut shaming, like, that shouldn't. I don't really see why it's bad. I don't know.
Yeah, that's my whole thing, man. I've only slept with a couple women. I hate guys that are idiots that are like, no, man, bitches love that I've had sex with over 1,000 women. They see it as like a mark of my virile masculinity. It's like, yes, some women do, but some women look at you as disgusting, that it's like, you've had 1,000 vaginal juices on your shaft. Like, you're a fucking disgusting pig. A lot of women don't, because that is the sense of like, women just see it as like, it's the same thing men say where it's like, a key that opens many locks is more valuable than a lock that will open for any key. But I think that's hypocrisy, because that's where we got. Yeah, and it's almost like, so that's their double standard there. But it's like, I think that what were you expecting when the modern man becomes an amoral, pump and dumping, degenerate, hedonistic, godless fucking individual who thinks that he himself is like thumbing his nose at the joke when really he is the fucking joke. And when he gets it, he'll be 6 feet under looking into the abyss and the hallway and just being like, oh my God, I really did waste it all. 1,000 generations led up to me just to fuck a bunch of sluts and ruin them for a bunch of other losers to settle for them so they could get divorced and their lives fucking ruined. It's not in the cards anymore for any man that it's like, yeah, man, I can demand better because only had sex with a couple women, 2 women. Like, and guys are like, never under threat of death or disembowelment or treason shall you admit to a woman how many women you've had. It's like, I don't give a fuck about that, because I've never been that type of guy. It's never been the feminist mindset or the lefty mindset, but maybe it was, as far as when I was younger, the lefty mindset, when it was like, I fucking hate like my gender as far as like men, not because like they were part of the fucking problem, but just because you'd always get the sense where you're that idiot that listens to the mainstream, the blue-pilled Disney Christian legend of like the mythology of growing up, and it's not even that they meant to feed you a lie maliciously, that they wanted to hurt you. It's that your grandfathers believed it. They made their sons believe in it. They made their sons believe in it. They made you believe in it, because every man is led off the fucking cliff of egalitarianism and the progressive new age, where you don't have a position anymore. You don't have a standing in society anymore. And men at large are just deciding that I'm not going to play this game anymore. This is fucking stupid. So I'm supposed to believe that men still have to be chivalrous and brave and honorable, and they still have to man the fuck up and play the game like it's always been played. But women now have been liberated. They've been fucking they are now strong and independent. They don't need you. They don't need a man because they've got either the government or they've been subsidized by taxpayers' money through single men, or they have no fault divorce where they can just get out of a marriage, whether it's your fault, whether it's their fault. 70% of the time it says it's theirs, but I mean, hey, ignore that statistic, right? It's like I don't even want to be blackpilled about it anymore. That's why all I spend my days doing now is trying to get more into the art form I love, or trying to think of how I'm going to write better lyrics, and I will fucking never put out an album unless it's... Like, I was looking at a Mac Miller song earlier, and I was like, I just liked the video, and, you know, I'm not saying anything about Mac Miller. He's dead, you know? Rest in peace. Go wherever you went, off to the... And if we are the egg, and if he was me, then I fucking... Like, the whole thing with things where I look at it and it's like after they're dead, you think you'll care more. I didn't care more. I looked at the lyrics that I was hearing as like, fucking wow, dude, I could have wrote this song, I would have killed myself, because I will never put out an album unless it's like rhymes that people don't fucking use, because we're all on the same wavelength of thought. People have the same rhymes in their head, the same memes, the same jokes, the same references. They almost want us all on... Pop culture is a way to be more towards the New World Order if you want to get out there and kind of crazy with it. Because if you think about it, the globo homo agenda, which is like a globally homogenous world where we're all isolated individuals and consumers in a nihilistic, godless society, kind of what we're moving towards slowly year after year, generation after generation, especially with this whole Corona thing. We're kicking it in overdrive. It's almost like you get the expansion without the dev notes. It's like in Warframe and every other game, they're like, hey, expansion's coming. Everybody get ready. Things are changing. It's like they're changing everything around you. They're just not going to give you the fucking developer 411. They're just not going to tell you anything. You're just going to realize that, like, you know, I think the world changed. And more, it doesn't make sense to try to even think that you're going to go out and find anybody worth dating, anybody worth marrying, that it's like, look, if I even have to realize that it's like, no, you can't ask that question, because if she tells you 15, it was probably 25. If she tells you 25, it's like, dude, I don't even care anymore. If men have lost their position that much in society, then I want to go deep sea diving. I want to go skydiving. I want to go do the stuff that most people wait their entire lives to do because they're afraid of dying. And it's like, if this is the end of society, then this is the end game. This is the fucking... Like, most people wait their entire life to get in their twilight years and then start living. It's like, if I'm not going to have a family, if society's collapsing to the point where you're going to find godless, neurotic, modern millennial women who have so many neuroses and perceived ailments and diseases that are just because you never had a dad to fucking tell you what for, or you let every guy's cock take the place of a father, or it's not my fault that society is done, but we can't go home. I'm not naive anymore. I'm not idealistic. There is no fixing this. There is just, you got to mitigate the damage that you're going to feel whenever society is done. And for me, if this is the end, if this is the twilight years, then I can treat it like, oh, I'm going to go skydiving, because if I die, and yes, that's a chance you have to take to skydive. You fucking have to probably sign a waiver that's like, look, man, if you die, it's not our fault. And I'm going to do that, because this isn't living, this isn't life, and this isn't being a man. And just having to debase myself for the modern woman just for pussy, and most guys are like, how could you go without pussy, man? It's because they're not even gonna get, like, most guys aren't even getting like porn star like stuff where people think like every guy thinks that if they're not having sex, every guy out there having sex is having sex with their like fantasy girl, and like they're freaking like all tens, and they're all like porn stars, and they're all like freaking anime hentai, like it's all this fantasy of like this sex like starved generation that is addicted to porn, that is addicted to all this degenerate media, that is the coomer, if you will, that all they can think about is sex. All their mind is sex. Everything is sex. And it's like, you wonder what's going to happen to men whenever they become that. Women are going to follow the ones they want right off the cliff. And all men seem to want nowadays is for women to be a quick lay on Tinder. And then it's just fucking hookup culture, pump and dump, no feelings. It's like, I'm sorry, for the people that wanted a life partner, for the people that wanted to find something real in this reality, I'm ready to risk smashing into the earth at free fall speeds because it's all been taken away. It's all gone. And people think it's funny. And people think they can laugh at it. It's like, yeah, you'll laugh until you're crying. And then you'll dry your tears and have to live in this dystopia. Whether you're drying them through drug use or fucking a different chick every night, you are a heathen caught in the maelstrom, and you're being pulled ever towards its center, where it will crush you against the mass of humanity.
Then that got dark.
I always feel happier after being in a party.
Nah,
It's like I don't even try to be black-pilled anymore, but it's like...
I can't say that I did, that I'm not one of the people that you're describing, because I do just...
all that.
And watch a lot of porn.
Hey, some people have that luxury though.
But they want us all to have that luxury, man. They want you suppressed. They want you docile. They want you just so sedated on escapism, like fucking Netflix, Disney Plus, and all the free-to-play games you could fucking imagine, and every season of Fortnite, and then when you're playing Fortnite, you get into like the whole cultures of like, oh, I'm playing this game, and now I'm fucking jacking off the porn of this game, and now there's Overwatch porn all over the goddamn internet. You can't have not, like, you know about these games just through the porn you see on porn sites. Like, if you're even on if you're on Pornhub with realistic women, you see in the fucking margins all these GIFs from like Rule 34 and shit, and you're like, man, I bet you people that have never even been into video games jack off to these things, and they don't even play Overwatch. Or they don't even play Fortnite. It's like, that's how permeated it is into the culture. And then they think that it's not, like these parents that let these things raise their kids, it's like, your kid is gambling, he is then looking at a fat, skimpy ass that he dressed up. It's teaching him about vice, it's teaching him about sin, it's getting him into cultures of very adult things that it's like, it's a video game. It can raise him because I'm a fucking degenerate myself and I can't even raise a child. And I came inside a girl doing some really raunchy sex, and now I'm going to act like a saint because I'm a daddy. It's like, motherfucker, it doesn't take anybody to have a child. It takes a real man to be a father. All these people that act like, and you knew them throughout your life, and you're like, dude, you were a fucking degenerate whore. And now that you're incidentally a father, yeah, that was going to happen. You act like you're fucking better. You're just as selfish as me for bringing a kid into this world, and now he's going to have to die to get out of it.
Yeah, no, I've never been one to just follow.
And it's just as selfish to not have a kid. So anybody out there that thinks they're ballsy for not having a kid, you're just as selfish. I'm just as selfish if I don't, because people like me should have kids, because maybe I could fucking make one not suck.
Teach him.
I can make a member of society that doesn't be a victim, that doesn't decide that, oh, there's something out there that isn't mine, so somebody obviously oppressed me. Or that the world is just something that I can't understand, and it takes a lot of bureaucracy and nuance and politics to look at things like a fucking adult.
I feel like I couldn't have a kid. I would probably lose my shit. I hate children so much, man. That's
one thing a comedian said. He's like, that's still the thing, man. I fucking hate everybody else's kids, but I love mine.
Yeah, I feel like it would be like that.
I'm sure you'd feel differently if it was your son that sprang forth from your loins.
Yeah, because it's like you can't...
It would literally be like you're in a game and you're like, I fucking made you! Fucking A! This is like, I'm like playing this shit.
This is fucking A? That's just turning you Canadian.
It's like fucking coming out, it's like I incubated a fucking Kubro. Honey, get in here!
See, the thing is, I want a kid, but I don't want to have one young. I want to wait till I'm like, well over 30. I want to live, like, the best part of my life before I start looking after someone else so they can live the best part of their life.
I can understand that. I just don't want to bring a kid into this world knowing that this world is probably it's...
Well, if you don't, then you're just like the people at the top.
But it's also, there's no idealism. There's no, like, I can't just run out and find my Cinderella. I can't just run out and find my wife, because there is really not any wife material anymore in the modern woman, especially not in the modern white woman.
What do you look for a wife? Like, what do you look for if you're about to.
How about a chick that hasn't had so much cock run through her that she can't pair bond, and that you're basically an idiot if you invest in that and think that she's the mother of my children, and in 20 years' time she won't get bored and run off. It's like, I don't need to worry about that because men don't have a station in society anymore to ask those questions. So it's like, oh, I can't even ask? Well, I'm out of here. I'm going to go take my money. It adds up when it's just me.
Whenever I ask a girl a question and then they're like, fucking, they're just like, oh, fucking, you're not supposed to ask a girl that. I'm like, bullshit.
And you're not anymore. You can't ask because, again, women are, it's post-sexual liberation, it's post the freedom torches, it's after all of this Marxist feminist propaganda that they've all bought into, and most women can say nowadays that they're not feminists. And sure, you may not be, but you benefit from feminine ideology, and you probably agree with it, whether or not you know it. There's so much, like, the narrative in this country, in this world, is that men run this whole thing. And it's like, that's not true at all. Men that are trying to fuck women are catering to women as the major consumer demographic. Like 80% of consumer and shopper sales is women. Women shop like crazy. Women love to shop. Men make the money. Men I mean, that's why we go back to the thing where the right is conservative, the left is, they want to, is social. They want to dole out the resources. They want, it's the feminine is the left and the masculine is the right. And that's not like degrading the feminine. There is the need for the balance between the two. That's where our world is, that's where this game server is just starting to fall the fuck apart. It's all becoming so, and egalitarianism is where they believe that there's no difference between us. Men and women are the same. There's no inherent variabilities between the sexes whatsoever. We're all just amorphous gray blobs in a postmodern, new age, progressive society where there isn't a God to judge you for how many men you've had sex with, and if one of those men happens to get you pregnant and you want to kill the kid, you can abort him because it's your body, your choice. But if one of those men gets you pregnant and you want to keep the kid, it's still your body and your choice, but it's not going to be his choice to pay for it. He's going to pay for it. He's going to assume responsibility because men are going to have all of the authority and they're going to have all of the responsibility in this world and no more of the authority that responsibility and that station granted them. They're going to look to men to be the wallets and to be the jokes that they can pin every tale on, that they can look towards to be like, I mean, look at the Marvel movies. Look at how in any scene where the hero is doing like masculine like feats of strength and shit that will kill him in an instant, you really look at the characters there and they are like the epitome of what men read comics for, why the major demographic of Marvel and why those movies was men, and why it's all falling off a cliff now because they took that first decade of movie magic and like setting new records, like breaking new ground in terms of a gigantic seamless universe being brought to the silver screen and communicated to a whole new audience and all new generations. And now it's just going to be a big feminist romp and a big empowerment like rush and lead up to a fucking Avengers X, which is going to be like, if Avengers X is seriously supposed to be like, they expect us to give a fuck for the next 4 or 5 years while they lead up to a movie where all these female Avengers fight Galactus, it's like, I don't, and no one is going to fucking care. And at that point, once they've killed it, like they've started to kill video games, like they've killed movies, like they have killed like they've stepped into like they took the Boy Scouts away, like they've taken entertainment away, they've tried to get, I mean, it very quickly, to any guy that's paying attention, if you realize that it's not about equality, it's about superiority, it's about goddamn revenge for some perceived slight against them. And that seems to be the thing with everybody's victimhood, whether it's Corpus, whether it's blacks, whether it's Hispanics, whether it's Native Americans. Everybody wants to be a victim. Everybody wants to say that, no, my suffering was greater than yours and I really was oppressed. It's like, but true equality would be that all of you just shut the fuck up and deal. Just live your life and realize that, yes, life sucks. It's a random thing that whether or not it is a simulation set forth by quantum computers, or an egg that is forever generating multi-layers of consciousness that is like a hand dipping each individual finger into a glass of water to try to ascertain what each glass of water feels like to each finger, and then you bring the fingers back from each glass of water, which would be each reality, that each individual finger, which would be each individual soul and each individual life that you're living now, and when you bring them all back out of the glasses of water, they become the hand that's attached to the palm that's attached to the body of us, or any other number of theories. It doesn't really seem to matter to anyone if they can't be a victim.
Yeah.
Nobody seems to look at it as like, well, this may be just some
live
crazy thing
life.
I'm involved in, so I probably should just try to do my best, because it's going to go on without me if I don't. It's going to keep... Everyone around you is playing the game. Everyone around you is logged in every day. They're getting their standing. They're going to the place where they need to be. They're showing up, and they're going to leave you behind because it does not matter to them. The winds and the trees blow outside, and the dirt shifts all the same, whether or not you want to be a bitch about it.
Oh man. This. And in games, it's like. Is there that in
It's
games?
the same thing in games. If you leave, like, think about it. I left Grand Theft Auto behind many years ago. I don't belong there anymore. It is a economy of supervillain, satellite orbiting, kill you from space with military hardware that would rival fucking Blackwater. People that have trillions of dollars, that get money every day, that it's like, hey man, I bought a nightclub and didn't even realize that it's tied into the other expansions. So now I'm as broke as I've ever been, so I'm good and I'm done. Like, it leaves you behind. Everything will leave you behind if you decide that it's everyone else's fault that you can't just move forward. But that's somehow become punk. That's somehow become like sticking your middle finger up at the system and refusing to be a victim. Because everybody nowadays that thinks they're a rebel, that thinks they're unique, thinks they're fringe, aren't. They're all a bunch of whining, victim mentality, virtue signaling Marxists or socialists or whatever the fuck kind of ist or ism they don't truly understand, because they're not even willing to die for it like the commies of old. Say what you will about those bastards, but they died for their goddamn ideology. They may have been wrong, but they died for it. They weren't pussies. And these commies today, they think they're going to take over shit? No. I'm not even a guy, like I said, that has a family, but there's people out there that aren't even on the internet. They're not in games. They're not in lobbies. They don't care. They're living their lives. Once they realize that commies might be endangering them and the ones they love, and you know, I don't know what those people are going to do, but I hope that I'm fucking situated when that time comes. Because those people aren't going to fuck around if you're threatening the people they love, if you're threatening their children. They have skin in the game. They actually made, like, if you could play a game where you could, like, if you could make another, like in The Sims, or you could be in a game that you're like, yeah, my fucking clan members, like, 3 generations ago built this house that we're now living in, that is still in the game, that has been passed down through the clan from everybody that's still on these servers, because they were as real as I am today, and the servers are still running. And you could make a kid, and you could have that part of you to be like, this is an actual, like a clone of me, like basically like a fucking replicant of me. You'd probably do anything and everything to make sure that that kid's game goes smoothly, to make sure that nobody griefs your fucking blood.
You're talking about if you knew that it was real?
Yeah, if you knew that this was a game, why wouldn't you play it the exact same way, with the exact amount of fervor and fury and passion and like, I'm gonna be the goddamn best at what I do, at what I am in reality, if this was a game? because there's so many things you do in entertainment and in games and in all the things that we slip our lives away into, whether it's books or fantasy sports or movies or geek culture or comic books or cosplay, whatever the fuck people like to get into. It's all ephemeral. It's all just a way to distract you from the fact that you are going to die. Like, no matter what, if you believe in Bigfoot, if you believe in aliens, if you hate JRPGs, if you don't like Trump, if you think that people that like pineapple on their pizza aren't humans, if you think that reptilians run the fucking world, if you entertain that there might have been a whole mud flood and a cataclysmic disaster that they don't tell us about that could destroy the world every few thousand years, and that would really throw the machine out of whack and throw their world out of whack, so why the fuck would they tell you? It'll just keep coming back and they'll emerge from the ashes as the ancients.
Because if you
believe any of that,
if you knew everything was gonna end, why would you tell everybody? Because all that's gonna do is just commit mass suicide.
Yeah, people would stop. They would start going after what really matters, and they would stop looking at life in the sense of the self, and they would start looking at it in the sense of the actual lived life, or the unlived life.
What the fuck?
For most people.
Hey, Arbiter. Why didn't you tell me that when you're playing as the Klingons, you get fucking, you, become fucking, what do you call it? You get to talk to Abraham Lincoln in the thing. What the fuck? So weird. Sorry, I'm like fucking, I don't know, man. Just trying to.
And in the end, when they've taken all that away, when the world just becomes something for people to laugh at, and they really think it's just a big joke that they're a part of, it's like, you are the joke, man. You are the godless modern man. It's like talking to myself. It's like, you
believe that we're all gonna. I don't know, man. I wish I could say that we live in a simulation, but just thinking of the processing power that it would take to run this said simulation would be.
Oh yeah, if you think of everything around you as being graphics, this is a psychedelic level of gameplay.
Yeah.
And I always say that games are like psychedelics on a very deep level. It's this very psychedelic medium. If you think of everything around you as being graphical, this is a fucking quantum computer. Look at how nothing is clipping. How the objects lay against each other with mass and volume, and they can lay over each other without falling through. Can be multiple levels of shadow and lighting. It's as seamless as you are actually embedded into the virtual reality. You can feel through your character, and you can also think as your character.
I don't know, man. It's like,
if it's possible, and it is, and they have made them already, and they're starting to make them more and more industrialized, streamlined, quantum computers are already a thing. And so if in all plausibility that can be done, then it's possible for us to be inside one.
Well, yeah, if you want to go off that, though, how many simulations of, like, what if, like, one simulation happened, they made a, and then in that said simulation, they figured out how to make a better...
We're probably just a simulation to figure out how we... Like, the guys that are simulating us are just trying to figure out how they got to the point of the ruined, destroyed world that they're now standing in, doing this simulation in. And it might just be like they're outside of the pod, and they look like some sort of DMT porcelain alien beings. And their little simulation is just a quick... Oh, that's how they got here. Okay. Back in the pod, guys. And that was like all of humanity. It was just a quick scan, just a quick, like, hold the button. Okay.
Like, just press X to scan.
Yeah, it's basically like a tutorial. It's like that was the tutorial for them, and for us, it's like we're still in it because time is relative. It's like what I was saying on that if it's outside of reality, it's right next to reality, but time is so relative and far away and close at the same time that you can't get to it, but it's real. And I think the people that would be the most powerful people in this world know that. There's no way they can't know that. Whoever the fuck these people are will never know, and it doesn't matter. You're still going to have to get a job. You're still going to have to work for somebody else eventually, or make your own money by being clever and industrial and entrepreneur. And if you don't, then you're going to play the fucking game.
Yeah, you're gonna live a simulation.
I think if people thought about it like a
you have
game,
no
they'd think that this
choice.
was a lot crazier.
Well, yeah, I feel like the reason why, because, like, if you had to play Minecraft for the rest of your days, right? Like, if you had to 24/7, you can't get off, sleep Minecraft, eat Minecraft, I feel like you wouldn't take it as seriously.
But this is any game you can imagine. You could be anything. You can go do, that's why I'm treating it like a game. Like, I'm not gonna bullshit myself anymore. It really was like, you're just in a save file. You could, upon death, you would just delete the save. You would just go somewhere else.
But what if it's
like,
not like that, and then you end up dying, and it's like...
Then what if? I mean, you're gonna die one day anyway.
Yeah, you
You are
a good point.
going to die. Like, that is, like, it might as well say on the back of the box, like, you die in this game.
Everyone, give us your money now.
And if you think about how insane it is to get through some stuff in a game and you're like, whoa, I didn't die. That was like a movie, or that was like real life. You haven't died yet in this game. Like, you've maneuvered and made it through this far, and you still haven't seen the game over screen. And so I'm going to treat it like if it is a game, and if you die and it's as instantaneous as, like, you can't perceive the temporal shift in your reality from what you perceive as reality to what is reality, because it's realer than this. Like, whenever if you take in psychedelics, it feels, that's what's always like with Terence McKenna, with everybody that has, I mean, with the major double wide studies that they're doing, with what Strassman did in the university studies when he intravenously injected people with dimethyltryptamine. Everybody is always that sentiment of that it's realer than this, it's realer than real. And so if this is a game and dying is just part of it, then why should I be afraid to jump out of a plane? You're fucking goddamn right I'm going to be afraid when my body and my consciousness is up at 13,000 feet and they open that door and it's like, just you hear nothing but the wind. They're like, all right, bro, we're approaching the drop zone. Get the fuck away from me. You people don't fucking... Like, and I'm just like...
I mean, it'd
freaking out.
Be scary, man.
I'm still going to jump. I'm going to push past that and treat this like I'm the fucking protagonist. I'm player one. And going back to what we were saying in the beginning, that's why this whole game is to the point where I'm like, let's fucking jump out of a plane. I've never gone to that icon on the map. There's never going to be a player two, so fuck it.
My problem is like, and I don't think it's easy to explain this, but like consciousness, like how can you tell that someone is really almost living? Like what are they thinking type of thing, you know? Because there are very few people that when you talk to them, like, have you ever talked to someone and it feels like, you know, when you're in a game and you just say something and then they run out of text dialogue?
Yeah.
Have you ever...
Like, you're talking to an NPC who's all their speech boxes are grayed out.
Yeah.
You've exhausted their dialogue tree.
Yeah, like, after a while, it just feels... With some people, not everyone.
I mean, if you work, it really is like that. You see people every day and they're like, hey, good morning. Good morning. Or I see this one lady who greets at the door and she's like, fun, 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 fun. Like, it's literally just like you're walking around in a game and you don't even go up to certain people and talk to them anymore. Just like you walk past certain NPCs and you kind of suspend your disbelief. Like, that guy's going to say something different to me.
You don't talk
but
to everybody. In GTA, you don't go around talking to everybody.
Or like in Zelda or Pokemon, there's eventually NPCs that you're like, the only reason I'm ever going to come in this fucking store is to say the same 4 words to you and then sell you some shit I found. And then I'm out. there's so many ways in that this thing, if you look at it as a game, I mean, yeah, you can be killed, man. There's been really fucked up shit in this world. There's been terror attacks. There's been serial killers. All sorts of stuff where people, when you start saying it's a game, they act like you're simplifying the magnitude of humanity and the human struggle and the realness of life. It's like, no, but this is the realest fucking game that we've ever played. But it's a game nonetheless. I think people just refuse to look at it that way because it makes it scarier.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, it's kind of liberating because you're like, if it's a game, then there's nothing to be afraid of. Like, nothing has been destroyed. This is all meant to happen. This is all just a simulation. This is all part of the fun. And now, could you think that if you were presented with the, like, fucking warlords are coming into your town and kidnapping your little brother and, like, the shit that goes on in South Africa and fucking families getting killed in the middle of the night and their babies wrapped in newspaper and just thrown in the fucking oven and shit, and it's like, and then you're pushed to the point of where you're like, oh, they killed my entire family, they've taken all of my shit that I leveled up and all the shit that I got, they just griefed me to the point where they're all gone, they dropped all my bars, so now I've got no choice and I've got nothing left but to retaliate. Like, I think that history shows that if it's a game, everybody is eventually pushed to that point where they're like, I don't care what happens. This game isn't fun anymore. So now we're going to do some deathmatch. We're going to do some PvP.
You're just ready.
And PvP always happens after 4GW, man.
Are you, oh no. Would you consider yourself a psychopath?
I think that anybody that questions what reality is should see it as psychopathic. It's an insane world run by insane people for insane reasons. And everyone just assumes that the people in charge, that everything is for a purpose that would make sense to them. But we'd have no reference or idea of what the fuck that these people are really running this whole lobby for. Like, the people that set up this lobby, the host, like, we don't know what the fuck we're playing this game for. We just joined the lobby.
Yeah.
Could be everybody is doing everything that they're supposed to do because this world is set up to where you'll be influenced to spring forth from the womb and feel that this is an adventure that you're on and it's just going to get better and better and better, and you're young and on the up and up and you're just feeling like everything is a fantasy. As things start to shift and you get older, you're introduced to sex and vice and excess, whether it's through some idiot cousin that shows you porn at a young age, or your fucking uncle or your brother or your dad, or however the fuck guys get degenerated throughout their, like, it's almost like in Fable or like in a lot of games where you acquire status effects as you grow up. It's like, oh, you fucking looked at porn at the age of 9. You're a sick fuck now. It's like you go in your Pip-Boy and you look at it, it's like, man, I'm fucked up. But you don't have a Pip-Boy to look at your fucking status or look at your bars and be like, I got a lot of
Like
stuff on
on
me.
some Black Mirror.
Yeah, it's like, or you're like, you don't look on your fucking, in Final Fantasy, you can be like, you can see what's hurting you, and it, like, you don't have, like, like, damage indicators and numbers floating off you, like fucking depression. Like, Ben is hit with depression. He's depressed all day. Like, depression will stack for 3% on a fucking, at Christmas. It's like, fuck yeah, bro, can take that status effect, bitch, I'm God. It's like, if it's a fucking game, then that kid would just, if you could fucking do the things that you can do in reality in a game, I would do them. That's what scares me about this thing being a simulation. Like, if you were like, yeah, dude, you could fucking, like, run, like, and you probably would feel afraid of it if a game was that detailed. If you could go, like in Grand Theft Auto, if you could go into everybody's house, like every gamer seems to want, you know, you always hear that, like, man, why can't I go in all the buildings? Why is this just a grid? do you really want it to be so fucking real that you crash into, like, you're running from the cops, and it's like typical GTA gameplay, and you're driving through suburbia, and then you're aiming out the back window and fucking firing at the cops, and then you crash into a suburban home, but you crashed through the nursery, because again, it's going to be so real, it's going to be so fucking detailed that every level of detail is going to be accounted for. It's all going to be there. It's all going to be simulated. So you crush the sleeping newborn in their crib, and you crash through the wall inside this fucking crazy realistic GTA 10 that it would probably get to at this level of quantum computing. And I mean, fuck, man, what if we're in Grand Theft Auto? Like, Grand Theft Auto at a certain point just becomes a life simulator game. And people are like the people that are, and I'm not fucking advocating this at all or even saying that it's justified, but you look at it as being a game, you're like, are serial killers the people that are like your typical gamer? Are they gamers? Like, are they the ones that are so bored, they're just like, you know, I'm just gonna fucking start just killing people. I'm just gonna fucking kill my whole family, I'm just gonna fucking kill everybody at work. Like, you look at things where people snap, and you're like, if this is a game, and that guy just killed everybody, and you end up respawning out there like, Dude, you fucked me up. Oh, did you have to kill my family though, bro? Fucking, what the fuck, man? Alright, I get to be you next time, and then you get to be me, and then we'll play another round. I gotta go to bed soon, dude. Oh, come on, man. Come on. You love this game. Come on.
Yeah.
It's like, it gets to a level of people are like, what, you sick fuck! What are you talking about? That's my family! God, and the soul, and you can't talk about reality this way. Someone should lock you away. And it's like, yeah, fuck you. Because it's just as crazy as that. If a game was as detailed as gamers want it to be, would it not be the game that we're fucking involved in here? If I want to, I can run outside and throw myself off the roof. I will probably have a very hard time doing it, because your body and life is tenacious and is like, you don't want to die, obviously, and no one wants, like, people that kill themselves, like all my friends that killed themselves when I was younger, it blew my mind, because I was just always one of those pussies that just fucking lied about it to fucking fit in with all your little faggot, edgy, goth, emo friends, because in the fucking 2000s, it was like angst, and like, I mean, we were coming off the 90s, and like, we were like into the early aughts, and it was like, yeah, we were still gonna ride that wave of like, nobody understands me, man. My life is so dark, bro. And I never did any of that shit. All my friends killed themselves, and it's like, I could write lyrics that is like, admittedly, I'd never tried suicide just to fit in with my peers who have all died. It's like, they're all dead, and I looked at every one of them as being better at this game than me. Like, they were gonna go off, and they were gonna level up. They were gonna achieve the ultimate mastery rank. They were going to get every single bar in this game that you can get. They were going to reach the end screen. They were going to reach the kill screen. And I mean, they did. Yeah. And everything with it being a game just makes it, to me, like, maybe I'm not a victim because I look at it as like, yeah, it's a game, dude. It's crazy. You can't even expect this thing to make sense. Like, if there's somebody playing this, then wouldn't all the shit that's ever happened to you make more sense? Like, you can, it's like a Sims game, and he's using his Little Ben character, and Little Ben, like, he named him Little Ben, and like, he's got, like, Little Ben is over your head, and you can't see it, but in the DMT world, you could see it, but to you, it would just look like whatever the fuck, dude, DMT could just be, psychedelic could just be falling through the map. And you're just like, what the fuck is all this? Ah! You just see the trees and you see all the coding, and you're just, but it's like, what would a quantum computer look like if you fell through its map?
I don't know if I could agree with that, but at the same time I can, because it's like, I feel like if you do I've never done DMT, but psychedelics,
I mean, one day you're gonna fall through the map. You're gonna get hit so fucking hard. You're gonna grow so old. You're gonna leave this game. You're not gonna respawn. Or maybe we do. Maybe that is reincarnation.
Maybe when
is just
I was running
respawning.
across the street, I got hit by that car.
Maybe. Maybe we've already, like, what if this is just you like this is just the
But
kill cam, and it's like
that would
leading up to the
suck for
moment.
when that would suck for when you fucking become old as shit.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to wait for your whole life to realize that, like, oh my God, it was a game and now I'm old and I'm just gonna die? I could have actually been out there, like, gripping on the sticks of this thing and actually playing it rather than being lost in the metaverse of mini games within a quantum computer game. Because that's kind of what, if you look at this thing as a quantum computer simulation, then all the video games we play are just like, dude, this is like this is a badass mini game. Can you believe this isn't even the game? Fucking A. I've had a lot of games like that where I played an indie game and like the game within the game is a really good game and you get lost within a game within a game. That is a level of immersion that you're like, where are we?
Yeah.
Because what is reality? What would reality even be as a reference to what this game is? Because games are usually something that we can't do in our reality. So if this is a game, what the fuck would want to simulate something like this?
Yeah.
What is so different and so alien from us that it would want to be this? Now that is creepy. That's psychedelics. That's the player.
I like me some psychedelics. Oh man. But no, it's not for everyone though. For anyone that's listening, don't try psychedelics. They will fucking change everything. Even just thinking about psychedelics sometimes just brings back almost a wave of like everything.
Well, it's called a flashback, man. You're all fucked up, man.
Exactly, yeah. Nah, but don't do psychedelics. They're bad. Well, they're good, but let's just go with they're bad for now.
Everybody's got free will out there, but I'm not advocating anybody to do anything. If you're an adult and you can listen to a conversation and entertain concepts that are beyond of what you thought of, you know, way too adult.
If you can,
If you think that you're going to blame us for contributing anything, then you're the exact kind of person that probably should not do psychedelics or probably should be listening to existential conversations.
I mean,
There are people that should and should not play the game.
I think with that, I think we should end it.
And whether or not psychedelics or the afterlife is falling through the map, or this game in itself is a quantum computer that you can't possibly understand, or you can't know, one thing you know for sure is that it's game.
Yeah.